Hi there everybody, it's Verity here from Inkybutterfly.com. Thank you so much for joining me today for our Stamp Around the World video hop. Our theme is our favourite bundles. Okay, so in the description there's going to be a link to lots of other videos. We're all demonstrators from around the world and we'll all be using that theme. Okay, and those of you who watch me regularly are not going to be surprised to see that I've chosen to work with beautiful butterflies. I love this set. I absolutely love it. The versatility is amazing. You can use it with practically any colour you like, and it's just a really good go-to when you're stuck. There are some other features that I really like about it, because it also comes with an embossing folder as part of the bundle. It's a hybrid embossing folder. Okay, so we get a great photopolymer stamp set with this huge image on there, some great sentiments, some dottage, which is always good, a smaller butterfly for those or smaller couple of butterflies for different things. I've used that one a lot as well. It's bigger than it looks on the stamp case. It's actually quite a large one. I don't know, what is that, about 1.5 inches by, yeah. This is humongous. Look at that, huge, right? And then you've got these little custom bits that you can actually sort of use with the other elements in the die set to create something a bit more bespoke. So love it, love it, love it, love it. Great sentiments as well on the little strip dies that come in the set as well. So that's the photopolymer stamp set. You can see through it, it's great. These are the dies. So you get the outline image for the stamp. You also get a detailed die, which we're going to use. So I'm going to pop that off the backing for later. These two strips for the sentiment, and you've got a large body. I've already die cut with that. And then on the other sheet, you've got dies for the smaller butterflies, some detailed dies, some smaller bodies, and then you've got this larger one, which you can actually create a folded card, a shaped card with. So that's awesome, right? Okay. And then, if I just grab this one quickly, the embossing folder. Okay, it is an embossing folder. It is very pretty, but it also acts as a hybrid embossing folder. So this die will slot into there. You can please only do this with a embossing folder that's designed to do this. Don't put dies in any of your other ones. It locks into there, which means you can actually get a stamped and embossed butterfly if you wish, or you can use the background as is. Okay, and then there's a billion and one things that you can do with embossing folders. So across the sort of 3 elements of the bundle, there is loads that you can do. So I really threw some stuff at this one this time around. Now, this is actually a card I made for Inspire Create. I had to use blues and greens, and I happened to use my favourite bundle at the same time. So we're going to do our video today showing you how I achieved some of this, but we're obviously going to use some different colours, which is my jam. I like to show you different options, okay? And we're going to be doing a bit of letterpress, a bit of ink blending, okay, as well. All right, so so that you know, the colours I used on this were Lemon Lime Twist, Balmy Blue, Azure Afternoon, and Secret Sea. Look at Secret Sea, isn't that a beautiful colour? Okay, and then we're gonna switch this up, and we're using pink and orange. Okay, so I want that contrast that I got from the lemon lime against all that blue. Okay. So first things first then, we'll get our background embossed using the letterpress technique. So I've already cut some white willow cardstock. So this is the 12 by 12 sheets that were introduced into the catalogue. So it's a bit of a lighter weight card than basic white, but it's great for stamping on, making layering backgrounds and things like that. Doesn't like water, too much water, okay? And if you want to use alcohol markers on it, it does it can bleed a little bit, excuse me. So it's great for those kinds of things, but today we're going to use letterpress. Where did I put my embossing folder? There it is. So with this then, we're going to ink up one of the bit that which bit am I going to ink up? I'm going to ink up this side with the raised images on, and it's going to catch these little dots and make them little circles and things. Okay, so I'm going to just use just a smidge of my Stampin' Seal just to keep it in place, because we're going to have to run this through at least twice. And I'm going to centre that so that that big butterfly is kind of in the middle. And let's just pop that there. I think that should be good. Let's just tack it in. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so I just want that big butterfly sort of central on there. Okay, and that's going to be secured now, so that when I open it up and add more ink, I can, it's not going to shift. Hopefully the embossing will help you lock it back in if you forget to do that step, but that's going to help us going through. I'm also going to set up my embossing Stampin' Cut and Emboss. So for an embossing folder of this nature, we want the base platform and our number 4 plate. So I'll have that ready to go as well. So the number 4, the dark grey plate. Everything comes in the box when you buy a Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Okay, so you know what, let's put some scrap under there. I'm going to apply some ink to, I'm going to call it the front of the folder. It's the bit with the writing on, the line and the logo on. Okay, and we'll apply ink across there. And as I say, this is going to catch the raised areas. Okay, but some of it might transfer into the background as well, and I don't mind that if it looks a bit splotchy and whatever. It's all going to add to the effect. So we've inked that up. We're going to close it over the top, and you can see where that ink is hitting there. Okay, and we're going to run it through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Okay, so let's just run that through, and to say we're going to do this at least twice. So if your first pass looks a bit splotchy, okay, so I don't know whether you can see, it's sort of a bit, yeah, see there in the bigger spaces, it's just a little bit sort of splotchy and dotty. You might like that effect and you might want to stop there. I'm going to do it another time. Okay, let's just do that. Just re-ink that folder, and you'll probably find actually that once you've done it once, the folder will take the ink a little bit better as well, if you know what I mean. A bit like you know, when you season a stamp, the first image is always a little bit on the rough side, but once you've used it and conditioned it. Okay, so let's go again, and because we had that tape in place, that stayed where it needed to be. Okay, that's what we're aiming for. So we'll go forward and backwards, so that sort of gives it 2 opportunities to, there we go. And now you can see that that ink has now, it's much more solid, and as it dries it will really blend out, and you've got bits that have caught here and there, and those little dots, because the folder just has those little circles to help it make those impressions, you've almost got these little dotted circles, and there is a little bit of the faintest colour of ink on the background. So if I grab another piece of this, okay, it has taken away the brightness of that white background as well. Okay, so that's step 1, doing the letterpress. It's water-based ink, this will just wash off, no problem. I'm just going to give it a quick wipe with some water just to pop it to one side. So just make sure you've got that nice and clean, because next time you use it you'll end up with pink ink all over your next project. So, and then we'll just wiggle that and get it off the embossing folder so that we can work on this a little bit more, because we're going to add some more ink. Okay, a little side tip: if you've got I've crafted for a long time and I've collected a lot of pattern paper. Some of it is not very nice, so when you if you've got something that you're not really that keen on, flip it over and use it as scrap paper, and then you've at least used it for something rather than leaving it stashed away. Right, we've got our pink layer. So on our main card I used the balmy blue to put down this base colour, and you can see that behind those wings there. Okay, so it's given us that base, but now we're going to bring in another shade of pink. So I've brought in Azure Afternoon just to enhance some areas. So for this one, oh, that was Bubble Bath, by the way, I don't think I told you that. Bubble Bath. Okay, I'm going to bring in Pretty in Pink, one of the in colours. Okay, and this is kind of I don't know, just a different shade altogether really. The Pretty in Pink is kind of a I would say a warmer pink than Bubble Bath. Bubble Bath's quite muted and cool. This is a warmer pink, and it's not going to be super, it's not going to give us a super amount of contrast, but it should add some detail in, but you've still got that pale colour coming through in the background. Okay, so I don't want to go too mad with this, and the brush will obviously get back into the background here as well. So we're just enhancing the pink a little bit on that one. But what I really want to do is brush over the top with our contrasting colour, which is going to be Peach Pie. Okay, so again, I'm going to use another blending brush, and I'm going to use this just to hit on top of the raised elements of those butterflies. Okay, and this is really going to tone down that pink. You're going to just be mindful that certain colour combinations are going to end up looking a little brown, so you might want to just consider that in your colour choices. And if you're not sure, try it out on some scrap paper, see how it's going to look before you commit to anything. So really focusing on those raised butterflies. I don't want this too dark, so let's just go from the centre out on this one. Okay, and I'm just going to do a little over the large butterfly as well. Maybe just start in the centre and work my way out, maybe. Just to take off some of that white. So this is going to look completely different, obviously, to our sample card. And you can decide to, remember, you can add, but you can't take away. So if you think you need a bit more, go back, add a little more. But do it a little bit at a time and know when to stop. Okay. Cool. Like it. Wasn't super, I didn't actually try this ahead of time. I was just like, you know what, those colours work well. Let's just go with it and see how it turns out, and I like it. I like it. Now before we take this away from our scrap, I'm going to add a bit of splatter. So on the original, I actually used a little bit of white ink. This is the white craft ink that I used on this one. Now, because the pale colours, I'm thinking we probably want to go with black rather than white. So we could use our Memento re-inker, or we could use our black Stampin' Right marker. So Stampin' Right markers are retiring. So we won't be able to get any more of those. They'll only be available while stocks last. Got no idea what's in stock at the moment, I'm afraid, but all the links will be in the description. So either or, if you've got Memento re-inker, or you could just pop a little bit of your Memento onto your block or whatever. And I'm just going to add a splurge of water, and I'm just going to use a paintbrush and make sure everything's out of the way that you may not want this to go onto. Ask me how I know. Right, okay. Let's move that out of the way. Okay, and I'm just going to flick some of that on there. And because it's the white willow, or yeah, willow white, yeah, I always get that the wrong around. So they had the dots just sort of expand a little bit. Okay, so use with caution on the willow cardstock, but it will dry really fast. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that to one side just for a sec, and make sure I clean up my craft table, and then just wipe that off before it dries as well. And you want to just make sure that your brush is clean as well. So I'm just gonna, so I don't have a pot of water on my desk, because that would just be a recipe for disaster, because I can guarantee I'll end up with water ending up somewhere. Okay, right, so that's our background layer done. Okay, and we'll attach that to the card base, which I'm going to use. I'm going to use Petunia Pop as the base, and we'll get that sorted out in a bit. Okay, so we'll pop that to one side. Oh, found some more ink splatters. Let's just move that quickly. There we go. Just about to put that on top of there, and it's got ink on it. Okay. Right, what do we do next? We need to do our die cut butterfly. So I've got another piece of white somewhere. Yep, here we are. And I'm still going to want my piece of scrap, because what I want to do is create a nice blended butterfly to go on top of this here. Okay, I've already die cut the body out of some peach pie cardstock as that sort of pop of colour, but I want to put in the peach pie and then a darker accent colour, which in this case is going to be Petunia Pop. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my blending brushes. Okay, and instead of trying to ink a delicate die cut, I'm going to ink the cardstock before I even start. Okay, so we're going to, ooh, I forgot about the oh no, it's the other piece, isn't it? Yeah, that's all right. I thought I had some what do you call it, seal on the back of there, but I don't, because that was the other piece of paper that we did all the letterpress on. So you don't need to be super careful with the blending on this, because we're going for an overall effect. Okay, but what you do want to do is just make sure you've caught what you want by laying the die on top. So that looks good. And then we're going to switch the contrasting colour, Petunia Pop. Swap our brushes. and then this time I'm going to come in from the side and meet that in the middle. And again, you know, don't worry if it looks a little uneven. Once you've die cut that butterfly, you aren't going to notice. And in actual fact, I probably want this to be reasonably dark, so let's just add plenty on. It meets in the middle, and then I'll do the same on the side. Piece of scrap so that I don't end up with ink on my fingers. I was looking like a Smurf after I'd done the other one. I got the Secret Sea ink got all over my hands. So leave your washing up or wash your hair after you've had your craft session, and that will get off the ink on your fingers. Just going to pop a bit more of the peach pie in, just to intensify that a little bit, especially in the centre here where I know it's going to die cut. Okay, and then before I put that away, let's just do a little, I think that's going to look good. You can always add some more onto the die cut once you've finished, but like I say, it's a bit tricky to try and blend over the top of something that's actually quite delicate. Okay, let's die cut that then. I'm just going to pop a smidge of tape on that just so that it stays where I want it to stay. And that's so low tack, it's lost its tack. So we'll just run it through. I'll just be careful. Okay, so we're going to end up with this blended butterfly. That's the idea anyway. So a bit more involved this one, but I just super love it. I just wanted to use all the elements and show you how beautiful this is. And let's say I've got loads of other projects that I've used these butterflies with, loads of them. Okay, so you're going to end up with loads of little pieces. So actually I'll poke that out onto here, which means I can just move it out of the way. So let's grab a pokey tool and just pop those out. They're all quite big, so they come out really easily. And it takes a minute or two, and you get this superb effect. So pretty. Okay, and then we'll just use those little release holes in the corner, which will cut out lovely little die cut, so those can all go in the bin. Yeah, I'm going to use that again to show you another little, oh actually no, I've already done it, haven't I? Yeah, just trying to save some time by doing some of the bits and pieces. Okay, so that's what we've ended up with. In fact, let's so we've got a really nice blended butterfly. Okay, and we can start putting things together now. Now that we've done all the techniques and things like that, we can just start assembling. Okay, so it's a Petunia Pop card base that we're going to use, and we'll just get our lovely panel that's now all nice and dry onto here. So even though this is a 3D embossing folder, there's quite a lot of flat portions. It doesn't sort of snag with the tape. Some of them will, so you could use wet glue. And that black ink has actually dried back to look quite grey, which is actually quite nice. But you do you don't have to add that. I mean, you know, the thing with all these videos are it's a way for me to share what I love doing, and it's an avenue for you guys to have a look at how I've used something and then put your spin on it. These are all just serving suggestions. You do you, change the colours, do what you need to make it yours. Okay, so we're going to use a little multi-purpose glue, and I'm just going to pop that onto the back of the body and just a few little key points, just so it's not flapping about too much, but I don't want the whole thing stuck down. Flapping about, it's a butterfly. Right, so let's just get that roughly lined up over there. Doesn't have to be perfect, just something like lined up will do. And then obviously we want to pop on, gosh, tongue tied then, a little body as well, and that does sort of more or less line up with the background, so I can pop that on. And you know, there's a situation now where I'm thinking, well, actually that doesn't pop as much as I would like it to, so I'm going to grab the blend marker. I'm going to go over that cardstock and just make that pop a little bit more. That's also a good tip, so if you haven't got the coordinating cardstock to cut that body, the body from, cut it and colour it, or swish it onto some cardstock and then die cut it, and then you've automatically got your coordinating colour. Okay, we need to add our sentiment. I've already stamped this, but what I want to do is just take off the white with just what's left on my orange brush. So I've just stamped the happy birthday in the petunia pop, adding a bit of the orange ink just to knock that back a bit. Okay, and this was actually double die cut, so I actually, the die comes out at about another ½ inch. It's a bit long, so I cut it down a little bit, and we're just sticking this down flat. No dimensionals on this card, people. How often do I say that? You know, the body of that might have been better in petunia pop, you know. Just to make it pop a little bit. And I think I've popped the folder a little lower than I did on my sample, but again, you know, I don't think it particularly matters. Another thing you can do to coordinate everything is you can use the white or clear embellishments, and you can use your blends to colour those. So we'll do some of that, so we'll just colour those in. You don't always have coordinating products. Okay, there are in colour flat pearls available, which are cool. I've used those a few times. I've used them in the newer colours. Okay, so now I've got coordinated pearls that I can apply to my card as well, if they want to be scooped up. That's landed there, oh, that's fine. And then, oh, we'll see, this one wants to escape as well. Let's pop that one over there. So we're just creating that little visual triangle around the sentiment. You could add a few more, scatter it around a little bit if you wanted to. You could splatter with some of the petunia pop ink instead of the black. I mean, there's 101 ways you can enhance this. There's no ribbon on it, could add some of that, all sorts of things. But basically, the world is your lobster. Love this bundle. It's got so much that you can do with it, and you can really have some fun. Okay, so that's my card for you today. I think the video's probably ran a little long, but I think it was worth it. And 2 very different results, but using the same method, just different colours of ink. Okay. I really hope you've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed making them, and I'm very curious to know what all the other demos have picked as their favourite bundle to use this month. Okay, please do click the links, please do like, subscribe, comment. There's hype now that you can use as well, all sorts of things. Do all that jazz, and that really helps us grow our channels. There are links to the online store as well, so even better if you wish to purchase and you live in the UK, the products are linked in the description. Thank you so much for sticking with me. Really enjoyed this one. Stay safe, take care, and I'll see you at the next one. Okay, bye.